Guess who's back in the house? I hope that you guys are having a great day. Earlier today, the Breakfast Club interviewed Malik Yoba, Carmen Carrera from RuPaul's Drag Race, Nyla Simmons, and a representative from the Black Justice Coalition. I think I'm butchering that. And so I think that Malik hit up the Breakfast Club to do an interview based off his initial Instagram post about him being trans attracted. And so I thought that during the interview, at some point, that they would talk about a number of things like his trans attraction, why he decided to communicate that he was attracted to trans women, why he was divorced from his wife, what his wife and children think about his decision to make the Instagram post, and then also talk about the trans woman who came out and said that he was engaged in a sexual relationship with her when she was underage. And so one thing that I like to do when I'm actually watching a video on YouTube is look at the comments. And so early in the morning, when I was watching this interview, the interview had more dislikes than likes, which is kind of like odd, but it was a significant difference. And by the end of the day, like, I think right now it has like 9,000 dislikes and 4,000 likes. I've never seen that on a YouTube video. And so one thing that I wanted to talk about is that a lot of the commenters were heterosexual Black people. And I wanted to actually read one comment that kind of like summarizes, it's moved for some reason. It summarizes most of the comments. So this person wrote, LGBT folks believe in science, quotation marks, when it comes to health or global warming. But when it comes to DNA, male and female, all of a sudden, doctors assign you male or female, question mark. And women born with vaginas aren't women anymore, huh? Hypocritical contradictions. I'm so turned off in the last few years of the LGBTQ community becoming delusional and modern day bullies. So during the interview, one of the individuals talked about how when babies are born, that doctors assign them genders, either male or female, and that people who are born in the wrong body have to, if they're young, have to come out to their parents and say that they are transgender. So a lot of people in the comment section were confused about this by saying that doctors don't assign gender. They basically assess the genitalia and will inform the parents if the child is male or female. What the people on the interview with Malik Yoba were trying to basically state is that if someone is transgender, the doctor has assigned them the wrong gender based upon their genitalia. And so if, and a lot of people kind of like were confused by this. And so I guess the clearest way to talk about this is by saying that when someone is born and they are trans, they have been assigned the wrong gender at birth. That does not mean that people who are cisgender have been assigned the wrong gender at birth. Deshaun Stalling says, right. Oh, thank you. And welcome to the live chat. And so it was really frustrating reading all of these comments. A lot of people were also saying that they didn't understand the term cisgender or CIS gender. And they were saying that they were frustrated with that term and that they are, quote unquote, women and not a cisgendered woman or cisgender woman. And so I say this to that comment. If you don't like the term cisgender woman, don't call yourself that. People in the community use that term to help distinguish between trans individuals and people who are born a specific gender and they identify as that gender. And so it makes it easier to identify who's what. And Deshaun says, I hate when people say trans are man. Oh, wait, it disappeared. I can't read the rest of what. Sometimes the comments will just like appear and then disappear very quickly. So when it comes back, I'll read it. And so if you don't like the term cisgender, don't use it. Like it's not applying to you. People in the community use it. I do find myself using it when I'm in a conversation where there are people who are trans, and it's a community discussion. And so, it says, I hate when people say trans are men. We know that, and they know that. Yes. And so, and a lot of people were commenting that, this whole interview is confusing. I don't understand. And they were saying that the people who were on with Malik Yoba were very hostile. And I say that if in your lifetime you have experienced homophobia, you've been kicked out of your home for being LGBTQ plus, you've experienced racism, you've experienced homelessness, joblessness, lack of education, overeducation, and still can't get a job. You've experienced trauma, domestic abuse. Life can be full of so many negative experiences for people in the community that you can answer a question all of your life. And there's a certain point where you are tired of answering the same questions. You deserve to be angry, and it's okay for you to express your anger. There is nothing wrong with that. I find it odd that the people that said that, why are you so angry, when it's okay for you to express your anger in your everyday life, why can't someone else express their anger? And so I was just confused by all of that. And I get so, for being Black and being part of the LGBT community and having to maneuver through the mainstream Black community is so difficult because you don't know who you can trust. You don't know when you are safe going into certain Black mainstream spaces. And so you have to protect yourself. And I love that the other woman who was on Nala is so stealth and so unclockable that a lot of people in the room didn't know that she was trans. And I really loved her. I think her name is like Nala Simone Toussaint. I really loved her. I loved everything that she said about the Black trans experience and what it means to be a Black trans woman. And she also made the comment that it's a blessing if you're a trans woman of color to live past the age of 19. And it's an even greater blessing to live past the age of 35 because most trans women of color don't make it past the age of 30. And she was saying how there were two trans women who were murdered during like Labor Day week. One woman, her name was, I believe, B Love, and the other woman, I think her name is Brianna, but I can't remember her last name. And she was 19, a baby. And B Love was brutally murdered in like the most horrific manner. And so even like a YouTuber that I love and respect made a comment that she believes that Malik Yoba is a gay man. And I understand how people can get confused by just people who are transgender and when it comes to romantic relationships. But I find it insulting that they purposely throw genitalia in the face, in the conversation. Like, genitalia has nothing to do with someone who is transgender. When someone is born in the wrong body, they know they're born in the wrong body because of the way that their brain is wired. Their brain tells them that they are born in the wrong body. And so without even kind of like seeing and knowing, because like when children, like let's say that there is a young child who's been assigned female at birth, they turn 5, they haven't developed breasts, and so they don't know what breasts are, but their brain is telling them that they're male. And so I just find it kind of like, I struggle with like how people who are Black heterosexual keep throwing kind of like genitalia into the conversation. Has nothing to do with gender or gender identity. And so I found that disgusting about kind of like all of the comments were like, he's a gay man, he's a gay man, he's a gay man, he's a gay man. And it's frustrating that I feel like people of color always want to talk about, or they want to kind of like be Nancy Drew and know everyone's sexuality and who they're sleeping with and why they're sleeping with that person. It doesn't concern you one bit. Knowing who Malik Yoba is sleeping with isn't going to pay your rent. It's not going to make you lose 5 pounds. It's not going to make you more desirable. It has nothing to do with you. When people start focusing on things that matter, we can have real conversations. People in the comment section didn't want to have a real conversation. They were lost in semantics about what it means to be assigned gender at birth. Someone said that this is word salad and this whole interview didn't make sense because you chose not to listen to the interview. That's why it didn't make sense to you. And I don't, it's just, and it's so frustrating, kind of like just growing up in a household where I couldn't talk about my sexuality, because it was always frowned upon. Just being in the LGBT community and being of color is so difficult because oftentimes you can't come out to your parents, you can't come out to your friends, you can't come out to your loved ones because you have no idea how they will treat you. You can come out and be kicked out of your home. I said this in another video that LA has a huge homeless population, and a majority of the people who are homeless in LA are young kids who are in the LGBT community. Fortunately, there are a few organizations that actually house LGBT youth, but there's only a handful of them. And so a lot of these youth, like the LA LGBT Center, they have a drop-in center for these youth. But during the day, they really don't have anywhere to go to. And so, I don't know. I just don't understand why people are like, people are literally losing their minds around this interview. And it's just insane to me. And it's shocking when like the people who you love and respect, you really learn the way that they feel regarding specific people in the community. And people in the trans community are the most fragile, the most vulnerable. And it's just very sad. And so if you take anyone who's watching this video, if you take away anything from this video, know that if someone is trans, their genitalia is not a part of their identity. There are some people who are trans who can't afford gender reassignment surgery. There are certain people who are trans who actually don't want gender reassignment surgery. They like their bodies as is, and that's not for us to discuss. I don't understand how straight women can be pro-choice and not want the government to regulate their bodies, but not understand that by having conversations about trans bodies, but focusing on their genitalia, that it is very destructive and dangerous. When we talk about trans people and their genitalia, it is the equivalent of giving the right for someone to attack them based on their genitalia and the way that they are choosing to present themselves to the world. It is shocking, like shortly after the situation with Faith Palmer and Maurice Willoughby, there have been so many trans deaths across the country. It is startling. I I don't know why there is a rise in trans deaths. And the kind of like most shocking thing about trans deaths is that if 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 you hear or read in the news that a trans woman has been murdered, most likely she has been murdered via a gun. Um, and that is disturbing to me. That we definitely need to do something about kind of like um, how people purchase guns in this country. Um, I don't even know how to kind of like end this conversation because I'm still just processing all of these comments that I read. I went through kind of like hundreds of comments on this particular video, and it was shocking to me. Um, and so I say, people in the community, protect our trans sisters and brothers. They're the most vulnerable. Try to educate people who are not in the community. We need to have more conversations surrounding removing genitalia from the conversation, and challenging people when they say that a trans woman is a man. No, you are incorrect. And I don't understand, like, the YouTuber that like I'm thinking about is that tends to actually have a lot of friends in the community. But I don't understand when people say that they're for the LGBT community, they're an ally, but they think that for Malik Yoba, if he has sex with trans women, that makes him gay. I don't understand that logic. So if you're saying that he's gay, you're saying that this trans woman is a man. That doesn't make sense to me. And so I wish that we could have more dialogue, more forums about the transgender experience, because I think more people will become aware of how dangerous it is to talk about trans people and their genitalia. And so and Malik Yoba said during this interview that he is doing some type of workshop with Carmen Carrera. I think it's called like Love and Trauma. I think it's happening in DC because the very next day, there's going to be a march in DC for trans rights. And then they said that I think it's October 8th that there's going to be a march in DC regarding Title VII. And with this particular issue, there is going to be a fighting against some type of policy that would make it legal for employers to fire people if they are transgender, and that is disgusting. If you are transitioning in the workplace, your employment status should not be in jeopardy. I just don't, and this is legal in some states. Like, if you begin to transition in certain states, you can be fired because you're violating company dress code policy. And I think that's one of the cases that's being brought up to the Supreme Court, that there was a trans woman who started transitioning while she had been employed with the company for a few years, and the company fired her for violating dress code policy because she stopped wearing men's clothing and started wearing women's clothing. And so she was fired. And so this case is going to the Supreme Court October 9th, I believe. And so I think I'll do like another video, and I will post resources to the National Black Justice Coalition. You can go to their website to get more information about these particular protests that are coming up. And I wish that I could go to DC, march. I cannot. Hopefully I would love to be kind of like able to do that someday. I'm actually going to look to see if there's going to be some type of march in LA or rally in LA. I'll definitely go to that. I'll support that. I wish I could do more for the trans community. I really want to. I was kind of like working through the LA LGBT Center, doing writing workshops for all youth in the LGBT community. And I had a lot of trans students. And so I want to do more in the specifically for the trans community, because of just kind of like everything that's going on with them, because they need all of our support. So I think I'm going to go to bed now. Thanks to all of you for watching this video. I will probably make another post about the fallout from the Malik Yoba interview. I'm sure we'll learn more in the days to come. Thank you all for watching on live. Thank you all for watching after this is posted on YouTube. If you're watching this for the first time, my name is Victor Yates. Thank you for coming to my channel. Please subscribe, like, and stay tuned for more videos. Have a wonderful day, and be kind to everyone in this world. Thank you, guys. Bye.